Thank you all for joining us today at our monthly community meeting for the Johnson County Affordable Housing Coalition. I am Jessica Andino. I get the privilege of serving as the executive director of this wonderful organization. Today, we do have a guest speaker who is Noelle Marcus. She is the CEO and co-founder of Nesterly, and we'll be hearing more from her and that platform in a little bit. I like to start off every monthly community meeting with just doing a brief update of what we have been doing here at the coalition. We did not host a monthly community meeting last month in September because we saw most of you at Big Grove for our annual meeting. It was a really great time to highlight our successes of this last year, but then also to, keep us focused and going forward for our new fiscal year. So thank you for joining us if you were able to. If not, we do have our annual report located on our website. Excuse me. Other initiatives that we've been working on in community outreach and education is we partnered with the City of Iowa City and Iowa Legal Aid to work on a tenants' rights workshop that was hosted at the Iowa City Public Library in early September. I was not in attendance at that because I was attending the Iowa Finance Authority's Housing Iowa Conference. It's a conference that's held every year through IFA to bring together many different providers of housing throughout the entire state. I thought it was really well ran, so thank you, IFA, for continuing to do that. Every year they host that the week of Labor Day. So we anticipate that to be again the first week of September in 2025, which is right around the corner as I look at my calendar saying October. And it will be hosted, I believe, in Lynn County this upcoming year. We had the privilege of being present at the JCAHC Community Engagement Festival. It was held on Penn Mall, where we were able to have a table and do some community outreach with other like-minded and rock stars in our community that run other nonprofits. So that was great. Thank you to CCAN for running that. I also had the privilege of attending the City of Iowa City's Human Rights Commission's awards ceremony. This is an annual event that highlights, again, some rock stars in our community that are for human rights. I went through and nominated some deserving individuals, and two individuals and one group received awards that were nominated by us, and then also Lynette Jacoby was nominated by others, very deserving of that award. Nominations from the coalition included Len Sadler from the University of Iowa College of Law, Deb Duncase over at Open Heartland, and then also the Housing Trust Fund of Johnson County. Just on Wednesday, we also put together with our wonderful intern from the School of Planning and Public Affairs a housing policy roundtable discussion with currently elected and hopefully future elected leaders within the area. So we had many stakeholders that were discussing local, state, and federal policies to improve housing conditions for all Iowans. The prompt that I gave to all of our attendees, the 40 that were there, was, when thinking about housing in Iowa, what keeps you up at night? So if you weren't able to attend that, I still do want to hear from each one of you. It was, 7 p.m. at the library, and I know we all have very busy lives. But if you want to send me an email, you probably all have my email. If not, it's on our website. What keeps you up at night when thinking about housing in Iowa? We're going to be doing some strategic planning of priorities and focusing on that for this next General Assembly, and probably having a day on the Hill as well. So if you want to be involved with that, or at least let us know your opinions on what keeps you up at night about housing, please send me an email or contact me in any other way. Other projects and programs. We are currently doing the really fun time of strategic planning over here at the coalition, making sure that we are aligned with what our members, our board members, and general community wish from us. We are very thankful for Barb McFadden and Tom Rockland for leading their expertise in that process. Two other projects that are related would be water quality testing and organizing, community organizing specifically for residents of manufactured homes in Eastern Iowa and both in city limits and outside of city limits. This is coming through a fellowship that was awarded to the coalition through the EHSRC, Environmental Health Sciences Research Center. Ooh, say that 10 times fast. Over at the University of Iowa College of Public Health. Another program that we've been helping with is the Student Build program of Johnson County. Currently, they're building their second house on Ronald Street, benefiting the Housing Fellowship. So students are currently building. I encourage you to do a drive-by, check it out. It's on Ronald Street in the North District. I have 2 sets of interns right now. They keep me very busy, but they also do a lot of work. So as I mentioned, we do have that one intern from SPPA. They're doing those stakeholder interviews for policy change. But I also have a group of interns from Grinnell College. They're looking at implementing the American Planning Association's Housing Accelerator Playbook. That's in combination with the National League of Cities. So they are going through step by step, doing the background work of actually implementing this in Iowa City and then beyond. So looking forward to what those students come up with as their semester wraps up. I hope you can see the bottom of this screen here because it does say request down here. The request that I have for you guys this month is to get tickets for the Pruitt-Igoe Myth screening. That is a collaboration that the coalition is doing with the Housing Fellowship, part of Film Scene's Community Collaborations program. That will be on Wednesday, December 4th at 7 p.m. at Film Scene in the Chauncey. I believe the room holds approximately 65 individuals, and it's a ticketed event. All proceeds from those ticketed sales will go to the Housing Fellowship to support their income-based housing. All right. And then I did add one more thing here in case you guys wanted to see what our next action steps are going to be. We're going to still be doing, as we did last year, our Giving Tuesday campaign. This will be in the form of collecting Menards rebates, okay? Oop, I have other things popping up on my screen. Don't know if you saw that, but it came up on mine, sorry. Menards rebates can go directly to our partnering agencies of Shelter House, DVIP, the Housing Fellowship, and Habitat. I can pick them up, you can mail them to me, you can drop them off in my office, we can see each other at community events and awkwardly hand over envelopes. Whatever gets those into our hands to help our direct housing service providers would be amazing. Last year, we were able to collect hundreds of dollars in order to let these agencies use them as they see fit. Again, this is part of Giving Tuesday. It's the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. So I think Thanksgiving's a little late this year, so we have a little bit of extra time. It'll be wonderful. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Noelle Marcus. Noelle is the CEO and co-founder of Nesterly. At the coalition, we have been working with Noelle. We have been working with Noelle over the past at least couple of months, maybe half a year now, right, Noelle? Of seeing how we could actually implement Nesterly, which she will introduce to you in a moment, within the greater Iowa City community to really have another tool in our toolkit for the affordable housing crisis that we're seeing locally. So Noelle, as I stop sharing my screen, I'm going to let you share yours.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone. Just give me 1 second. Just takes. Okay, wonderful. I think you should be able to see my screen. That looks good. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Jessica. I'm really delighted to be here. I met a few of you attending another session, but it's great to see so much participation and civic engagement in addressing our affordable housing crisis. So I commend all of you for being involved and making the time to do this important work. As I mentioned, my name is Noelle, and as Jessica introduced me, I'm Noelle, and I'm the founder and CEO of Nesterly. Nesterly is an award-winning social enterprise whose mission it is to build intergenerational connections while increasing access to affordable housing. Nesterly leverages technology and an incredible support team to make it safe and easy for today's households to share an extra room with someone seeking a place to stay for longer than 1 month. The best way to tell our story is to hear from our community. I want you to meet Brenda. Brenda lives in a home that's been in her family since the early 1940s. It's been a few years since her kids have moved out, and she's faced social isolation and the added stress of maintaining a large home all on her own. Brenda is not alone. Older adults are the fastest growing population in the United States, and like Brenda, 80% of older adults want to age in their homes, but face similar social, financial, and oftentimes physical challenges to doing so. In fact, according to AARP, 40% of older adults reported that they were interested in renting a room in their home, but today only 2% are doing so. Meet Cynthia. She dreams of completing her master's degree in social work, but it hasn't been easy for her. She's commuting nearly 3 hours round trip to her day job while juggling night school. Cynthia is also not alone. She's just one of the 59 million renters struggling to find affordable housing in this country. This is where Nesterly comes in. Nesterly has taken this age-old idea of intergenerational home sharing and brought it into the digital age by leveraging technology and customer support to make the service safe, easy, and scalable. With Nesterly, Brenda, who's an empty nester, rented out her spare room to Cynthia for 7 months, earning a fair $650 a month in extra income, which is very, very, very fair in the Boston area, and had a nice, helpful housemate. Cynthia cut down on her commute and monthly rent greatly and was welcomed into a supportive home environment. Nesterly's unique full-service home sharing platform helps empty nesters find and keep trustworthy tenants. Our platform is technology-driven but human-centered with flexibility and support for our users. We take the work out of finding a reliable housemate by handling the screening and vetting of potential candidates.
My meeting's being recorded, so I guess I can.
We provide custom home sharing agreements, automated payments, where rent is directly transferred into the host's account at the same time every month, and monthly check-ins with our social worker customer support team, with both the host and the guest. Safety is our #1 priority. The multi-part screening process includes a complete application from all users, a 9-point background check, at least 2 references, and employment and/or school verification for guests. Not only do we make it easy to participate at Nesterly, we're unlocking significant value for both the host and the renter, as well as creating new affordable housing units without spending a cent on construction. Active Nesterly hosts earn thousands of dollars a year in new supplemental income, often translating into an increase in spending on food, needed medical services, home repairs, and age-friendly home modifications. On the other hand, we provide a relief for renters by saving them approximately 30% on monthly housing costs. We're excited about the opportunity to potentially expand to Iowa City, taking what we've learned from successfully launching in our program in several other regions around the country. Folks have had an incredible, often life-changing experience where 90% of the hosts on Nesterly who home share sign up to do it again. We're building a movement, and we hope that you will join us. And I just thought, if I can get the technology right, I will just show you one 1-minute video. Let's see if we can make this work. And then I can open it up to any questions. Here we go. And you'll just let me know if you can hear the sound. Could you hear the sound, Jessica, or no? No? Okay, give me one. Oh, there is an easy way to share the sound. 1 minute.
Have this every
Share
month.
computer sound. There we go.
Really fun times with technology. You're doing great.
Okay. I probably could make it easier on myself, but okay, the sound should work now. Could you hear the noise? Okay, great. The music. Okay.
I had lost my husband 3 years ago. I was lonely, and that I was also looking for a little bit of extra income. I thought it was a wonderful idea, matching an older person with a younger one. I was lucky enough to find a young woman whose background matches mine in some ways. She loves literature, she loves poetry, and she loves cats, which is even more wonderful. So I feel very blessed to have Sarah in my life. I think the people at Nesterly have made themselves very available, which is wonderful. If I needed to ask questions, I could always get in touch with somebody, and it's turned out to be a wonderful solution. Even more than a solution, a great life change.
Okay, with that, I would love to open it up to any questions and yeah, any questions or comments that people have.
Feel free to unmute. You don't have to use the raise hand function, but be respectful if there's multiple people talking, just one at a time. I see Rod is already unmuted though, so kick it off, Rod.
Yeah, could you talk a little bit about, I think that my understanding is that both parties pay a portion to you. Is that how it works? So can you talk about how your services are funded?
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Rod. So every community that we've launched in, we're currently kicking off 2 new cities. We just won an RFP to launch in Nashville, Tennessee, in Davidson County, in Pittsburgh, and this year we launched the state of Maine. We're also operating in the whole in Columbus and Boston, and we only go to communities where we have been invited. So Jessica knows a bit more details. We put a proposal together to work in Johnson County. So our main kind of ability to operate in a new place is really through a licensing partnership with a local town, an area agency on aging, a state agency, whoever the local partner is. And then we do have a small, very small fee that we have users pay to help build more sustainability into the program. And because we're generating so much value for people, we want them to have a little bit of skin in the game. So the way that works is we charge a one-time booking fee that is a fixed fee based on the length of stay. So it ranges between $95 and $195. And the platform is completely free to use until you confirm a booking. So only until you're securely set and you've signed an agreement and you're moving into an affordable housing unit do you pay anything. And that amount for the guests is just reduced from the first month's rent. They're added to the first month's rent. And on the host, they actually never pay anything. It's when we're transferring the first month's rent over to them, then they get a reduction that first month of either $95 up to $195 if it's a year-long lease. And that just helps offset some of the costs of the background checks and a little bit of the costs of the monthly payments and doing secure automated transfers directly into their bank account. So those are really the core fees. It's a fraction of what the market would be if you had a broker or someone professionally helping you. Mm-hmm.
So then you are or are not involved in the ongoing rent?
We are involved. So we handle all the rent transfers for the whole duration of the home share. And we do collect a 2.5% fee every month. And that's really mostly going to the third party that we use to do the secure rent transfers. So anyway, I won't go too much into it. We didn't want to take a percentage of the rent as the fee because our mission is to create affordable housing, and we would be inversely incentivized to want higher rents on the platform. So we didn't want to have that internal kind of value conflict. So that's why we made it a fixed price of 95 to 195. Great. Thank you.
And then the rent that received by the owner, the property owner, is taxable income, correct?
It is taxable income. Any income really is taxable income, unfortunately or fortunately, however. There's a lot of programs out there to get free tax advice, and because this is rental income with your home, there are a lot of ways to write off a majority, if not all or more, of the additional costs, because you can write off part of your mortgage, any expenses, capital costs, your internet, your utilities. So you might think that, oh, I'm earning an extra $5,000 a year. How is this going to impact me? A lot of that can probably be written off if you take the time to document and report some of your home expenses.
Okay, thank you. And I looked at the web site as invited by the coalition, and our market would be the smallest market of your existing providers on the website. Is that a concern to you?
So we're actually also operating in Framingham, which is probably a smaller, definitely a smaller community. No, you don't, or maybe,
I don't think.
yeah. I think Framingham is quite small, like maybe 10,000 people or something.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. My bad.
No, it's, yeah, I forgot to mention it at the start of the call. Okay, sorry, it's 70,000 people. So, yeah, in Massachusetts. However, we are also operating in Maine, where I heard the stat, it was like 90% of the towns are less than 5,000 people. So it really is a large state with a lot of smaller communities. And I think Iowa City, based on my conversations with Jessica and the team, having some really strong anchor institutions and a lot of student population and a housing crisis, the real element that's key to the success of the program is having a need for more affordable housing and having a demand for that, and having a university or several universities as anchor institutions is a really, really good fit for the type of guests that can do well in this kind of program. And as I mentioned, across the country, you have this this shift that's happening in our cities and our towns, where we are aging as a society. And the one stat I didn't mention is that by 2035, it's projected that half of all senior households will be single person. And this is in the United States. So right now it's around a third across the country, but soon it will be half. And we're living longer, and most people want to stay in their homes. So there really is this opportunity to support older adults staying in their homes and communities.
Charlie, I see you unmuted. Did you have
Thanks. Thanks, Jessica. I just wanted to ask a question. If the housing choice voucher is available to people, to the occupants of the homes. I'm sorry, not the homeowners, but the folks moving in sharing.
If the guest could use a housing choice voucher for the program,
yes,
to pay
that's
their
the
rent.
question. Yes, thank you.
Yes, I think for Nesterly, it's not a problem. Like on our side, it's not an issue. We're happy to accommodate housing choice vouchers. Something to keep in mind is just depending on the regulations of that program. So we looked into it for our first year in Maine. There was some questions about it. The Maine State Housing Authority decided for the first year that we wouldn't accommodate housing choice vouchers. There's, depending on, and I'm not an expert on housing choice vouchers, but some have certain requirements. So for instance, with Nesterly, our average length of stay is 9 months, because many of our guests are students or fellows or medical residents. And that's, an academic year or a summer internship or a residency. And for what we came across in Maine was that there were certain requirements, like it had to be a year-long lease. So as long as it's really something that kind of depends on your community and how you want to design the program, and then as long as we can follow all of the regulations around something like the voucher program, then we're happy to accommodate that.
Okay, thank you.
Kristen, before you go, I did see Paige had her hand raised. Is that okay if she goes? And then you
Sure.
can? Awesome. Paige, do you want to unmute?
Yeah, hi Noelle. My name is Paige Johnson. I'm the state advocacy manager for AARP Iowa. Quick question. I know something that I've talked with Jessica a lot about has been accessory dwelling units in Johnson County and in Iowa City specifically. Does Nesterly focus primarily on rooms within a primary residence, or does this also extend into kind of that accessory dwelling unit conversation?
I love accessory dwelling units. I mean, I love I love this movement that's happening. I'm in the Pacific Northwest now, and we've been doing this for a little while.
Yeah.
So I was in New York for a long time. Less accessory dwelling units in New York, but yes. Short answer, is we think this is Nesterly is a great fit for an accessory dwelling unit. So it's a movement that's building more and more momentum across the country. So primarily we have people renting out a spare room or a basement suite in their home, but yes, an accessory dwelling unit, something that's adjacent to your home is a great fit, and it provides more just more diversity in the types of accommodations that we can offer the guests. So when it's a room in someone's home and maybe you're sharing the bathroom, definitely sharing the kitchen, it's really a better fit for a single person than a family or a couple. So ADUs allow for more diversity and allowing different family arrangements to be able to access this kind of program. I was actually just looking in British Columbia. They have a $40,000 forgivable loan now if you create an ADU or a second dwelling unit. And it's forgivable if you rent out the room at an affordable rate for a minimum of 5 years. And so something like Nesterly can be really helpful in this kind of situation because we can help with the screening and the vetting and the payments, and just make it really easy for people to find, great tenants and charge an affordable price to them.
Wonderful, Paige. Good question. Kristen.
I have two questions. First of all, you presented the host as retired. Is there an option for people who are older but still working to be hosts? And second, does the host have to go through the whole rental permit process with the host city? Or is there some exemption for that?
Great, thank you. So yes, Brenda was one person. She was actually quasi-retired, and it brings up a great point. She was kind of forced into early retirement. She was working in university administration work, and she retired prematurely. She didn't want to retire as early as she did. And so she's still volunteering and still quite active, and an artist as well. So anyway, all of that to say is, yes, empty nest. We've had lots of people. I mean, we've even had, kind of surprised me, but really recent empty nesters. So I'm thinking of a few people that their youngest kids just went off to college, single working mothers, and they signed up a few months later to have someone come in September, right when their youngest kid went to school, and they were actually really used to having that age around, and they're helping their children in other cities afford accommodations and college expenses. So we have lots of people that are full-time working, semi-retired, and retired across the board. And then you mentioned the rental permits. So yes, part of what we help do, and it's part of our response. My background is in urban planning, and I worked in public service for my whole career before starting Nesterly, is just really taking accountability and responsibility for people that are participating in the program. So the home sharing agreement I mentioned is actually tailored to the specific county or municipality or state, with references to local housing laws, so that people.
Noelle, I can answer this for
Yeah,
Chris.
please.
If a home is homeowner occupied and their name is on the deed, they are not required to obtain a rental permit through the City of Iowa City's rental permitting process. So this would not require them, specifically looking at Iowa City and how it's written, it would not require them to do an inspection. I invited Stan Laberman for this meeting. He had conflicting meetings, and he'll be confirming with me after this to make sure. I am not certain how that would apply to ADUs. And if, dovetailing off of Charlie Eastham's question earlier, HUD would have to do an inspection if they had housing choice vouchers as a certified dwelling. But as it sits right now, with the Nesterly model of room sharing in a homeowner occupied dwelling, you would not have to get a rental permit from the City of Iowa City.
Oh, if I can do one more question. If you located in Iowa City, would it be limited to Iowa City, or would it be the surrounding area? There's a metropolitan area of 4 or 5 different towns. So would you be serving the entire area or only Iowa City?
That's what we recommend, and that's what we tend to do. So we're talking to another city, and they just requested that we do the whole county, because housing and transportation and a lot of these planning issues are really regional. They're not confined to a municipality. So I think it really works best when we think about it as a regional launch.
And Kristen, going off of that, it would also depend on the funding source, which is paying for the for that. Noelle, can you help me out with the wording there? The platform. Thank you. What we were anticipating in our working group, which has many members that are even on this call today, was maybe the municipality, the City of Iowa City, contributing significantly to that platform fee to get it up and running, and then possibly spreading based on the concentration of need for University of Iowa graduate and professional students. But it does not preclude us from going further, but it may be more expensive and other funding sources.
Thank you.
And did we get a proposal? And if so, is anyone willing to share the amount for the fee?
Jessica, I don't have it up right now.
Yeah.
Because I think it was a few months ago.
It's okay. There are 2 different levels of investment that Nesterly could have in our community. One is more in depth than the other. We were in our working group, and correct me, anybody that's on here in our working group, we were anticipating a 2-year pilot study to see if this would work well. And I believe it was between, it was between 80 and 90,000 for that 2-year, not annually, but for that, I think it sat around that 90,000 for the upper tier.
Yeah. And the majority of, I'm just pulling up the proposal now. And the majority of the cost for us in the program, in scoping out, in making a proposal, is really the fact that we hire, this is not just a technology platform with all the services that we mentioned, the home sharing agreement, the payments, the vetting, the background checks, reference checks. It's also really the most expensive cost is the social workers. So we make sure that this program is accessible to anybody who wants to participate, which means that we have a really hands-on support team that if people need, they have a lot of questions, they want to really think about this and have someone to talk to, someone who's really qualified and trained to work with older adults, to help with any accessibility issues. And then once we make the match, we don't just disappear. We are checking in. Our team is checking in every month with both parties. So even if it's a year-long lease, we're checking in with both the hosts and the guests separately and saying, how is your experience going? What's working in the home share? Is there anything not working? How can we help? So just actually compensating, qualified individuals to really support the program, but also trying to make it as affordable and scalable, so that we can reach a large community, and that those social workers that we're using their time really well, and that the things that can be automated can be is automated by the software, but then the aspects where we can really add a lot of value and provide a lot of support is really high quality support.
Wonderfully said. Thank you,
Mhm.
Noelle.
Thank
And I
you.
see that Dell has unmuted, and then it goes Rod, and then it goes Charlie. So Dell first.
Okay, well, so then the social workers, what just went through my mind just now. So they're Nesterly
Mhm.
employees, and they're
Mhm.
not based in Iowa City, or could they be based in Iowa City?
They're not based in Iowa City. It's a remote team.
Okay.
Mhm.
And my other thought, and I'm not trying to introduce a negative energy here at all, but I'm all in a situation like this. I'm always, my mind always goes to like, what are you willing to tell us things that have not worked, things that have gone wrong, so that we
Mhm.
can try to make sure to prevent them, or
Mhm.
avoid them.
Definitely. No, I think that's a really important question, and I'm glad that you brought it up. So part of the ethos and just what's embedded in the whole design of the platform is really a lot of flexibility, because these are real people in their real homes, in their real lives, and it's an intimate choice. It's a big decision to have someone move into your home and share your kitchen and share your bathroom and share your front door. So we've built in a lot of flexibility. I mentioned that our average length of stay is 9 months. That when people request to book a home share, they indicate the dates that that they're looking for a place to stay. However, if things aren't working out, if something comes up and a family member gets sick, or they have a new fellowship opportunity, or they're transferring schools, or whatever it is, either party can give 30 days notice and end the home share early. And that has happened. We had a woman, kind of a similar profile that I was describing, a woman who is still working full time. Her youngest daughter just went off to college in another state. And she brought in a international graduate student as a guest. And after a couple of months, her daughter got really sick and had to move back home and was hospitalized. And she just couldn't handle working full time, taking care of her sick daughter, and having a guest in her home. And so with 30 days notice, we were able to make new accommodations for this guest and put them into a new home share, and the home share had to end early. And this is just what happens. It's also part of our job that we're staying in touch with people, that we're, if something comes up, that we're able to help in any way that we can to make new accommodations. The reality is most homes, there's, in terms of changing the home share length, the vast majority are extensions. People saying, oh, we booked for 6 months, we actually want to stay another 6 months or another 3 months, and people are really excited to extend. I've had many that are, multi-year home shares that just continue and they work out really well. But there are these circumstances. The other piece that I think has been really important, and we've seen in different contexts and different regions, is it's a really exciting solution. There's a very high return on investment. We're able to unlock new housing very quickly without changing any zoning, without any construction. But some people get too excited, in my mind, where they think that this can solve every problem in your society. And it's just not, it can't fill every gap and hole that we have in the United States. So, if someone has mental health issues, if someone's really on the brink of homelessness, if this is probably not the best program. The way that I've thought about it is, if you have two vulnerable populations, let's not put them together. Like, if, you have an older adult, don't try to match them with someone who's almost homeless. And maybe has mental health issues. So this really works well when we have guests who are, you know, graduate students, medical fellows, young professionals moving, you know, to a new city. But trying to make this work, yeah, to solve too many problems at once is, I think that can lead to more difficult situations that these people, yeah, people just need more social support services than what this is. And so, yeah, I see it really in the spectrum of this is one solution to the housing crisis that hopes to fill and create more supply, which can have a trickle down effect in improving, you know, the supply and reducing pressure on other affordable units of housing, but not to solve every housing issue.
Great point, Noelle.
Yeah.
Thank you. Going to Rod.
I came up with a second question while I was waiting. The first, just a quick one, is do you capture demographic data so that we could share that in terms of whether or not a pilot would be a success? And then the second thing is more of a, I'd just like you to react to this. So we looked into something like this almost 20 years ago. It was a local pastor just tried to get it going on his own, no platform, and it obviously didn't work. But it was interesting because the pushback that he found was almost none from the people looking to rent and almost none from the seniors looking to rent out a place. It was the sandwich generation. They either didn't want their kid renting there, they didn't feel like it was going to last, or they didn't want their parent renting to some young person. So it was actually the, you know, the 40 to 60-year-olds that were kind of spoiling it for everybody else. Have you run into that, and how do you deal with that?
Yeah, so with the demographic data, we are very cognizant of fair housing. And there's been lawsuits against roommates.com and for collecting demographic data and allowing people to filter based on certain demographic data. So we don't ask that. However, we can work with you in putting together a survey that we ask people that's separate and anonymous that we can collect.
Big thing I'm thinking is, in my mind, and this could be, you know, a matter of good luck, but I feel like if we can be successful, it will help the University of Iowa. Therefore, we ought to ask the University of Iowa to help us pay, but we would need to know that there are University of Iowa students being.
Yes, definitely. Yes, we definitely capture where, you know, the age of people, their gender, and their employment or educational pursuits, if they're a student or not. So definitely we'll have that. And then if there was, you know, some partners, their funding might be tied to, you know, what income are you serving, or what races, you know, or what racial makeup are the participants. So we can basically, yes, we can capture all of the information that you need to measure the success. And then that was a really interesting story about the local pastor and the sandwich generation. We've seen, I mean, in 20 years, a lot has changed around trusting strangers. I mean, right now, you know, in the middle of the night, you can click on your phone and have a stranger drive up to your door and you go into their car and drive to the airport. I mean, this is something we never would have considered doing, to go into a stranger's personal car and go across town. So these platforms and this sharing economy that's been developed has changed the landscape, and we try to take the best practices from that, as well as really incorporate best practices in the history of this type of program. I don't need to go into too many details, but I've done a lot of research, traveled to Europe, and wrote my master's thesis on this work. We have found that adult children can play an instrumental role, depending on the family. Probably in more cases, we have adult children that really love this. Their parent might be on the other side of town or in a different state or across the country and living alone. And just the idea of having someone going in and out of the house on a regular basis can give a lot of security and just peace of mind for people who have older parents that are farther away from them. If someone fell we know that in a few hours someone will be there right away. And but yeah, it just depends on the individual, that sometimes they have adult children who, yeah, it's quite rare, honestly, at this stage. Now I think the adult children are more encouraging that this could really actually relieve stress and pressure on them when they're living far away from their, especially single older parents. But that's really interesting. And yeah, I think that, yeah, getting people involved, like local pastors and Rotary clubs, and these are great folks to help support the program and get the word out about it. Thanks, Rod.
Charlie.
Thanks, Jessica. I have two questions in one, and I know, Jessica, that's against the rules, but that's just how I am. So Noelle, the first question is, the fee you quoted or cited is fairly substantial. Do you have any anticipation of how many participants the local municipalities might see in the first year, 2 years, 3 years, something like that? The second question is that I'm a member of the school board. I know there are 2 other school board members on this call. This could be a potential recruiting tool for the school board for new teachers coming into the community. And is there a mechanism that the school district and Nesterly can work together so that the district can use this as a advertisement or something like that?
Yeah, I really love that idea. I think we are seeing this in cities all over the country where school teachers, a lot of our essential workers are struggling to find affordable housing, especially with tuition, with student debt and just rising costs, rising housing costs. So we can definitely would be excited to work with the local school district to connect this opportunity to teachers, new teachers coming in, or current teachers. And then in terms of local participation, the way that we've designed it is that that our part of the reason why we partner with a local institution or a local stakeholder group is that we really find that they're in the best position to do the outreach and marketing. They know the community knows them. So each community can be different in terms of how they get the word out, who they really want the program to be designed for. So in every place, some places we go to they're really university focused. We were talking to NYU about launching a program that was just for NYU graduate students. So it depends on, how open the marketplace is or what your goals are. I would say, the first year is really, we can see some good numbers in terms of people signing up. In Maine, we've had over 100 hosts sign up in just a few months, around 6 months. So if you do the math on how much cities are spending on new housing units, in places like San Francisco, they're spending 1.2 million subsidizing one new unit of housing. So we can, you can do the math and see that we can create a pretty good ROI very quickly on what we're able to unlock. So yeah, it just kind of, I know it's not a great, perfect answer, in some places, it takes a little bit of time to establish the program and build the network but it's a marketplace and it just gets stronger and stronger. And as I mentioned, hosts that sign up, it's not just one unit, they host again. 90% of people that sign up and do a home share want to home share again and again. So it's really can be unlocking years and years of new affordable housing. And the other piece I'll just mention in terms of the return on investment and what you're investing in with the program is also, it's not just housing. We have a social isolation crisis that we've seen all over the country and all over, other parts of the world. The Surgeon General mentioned, this is worse than a pack of cigarettes a day on your health. So there's social determinants of health of people being socially isolated. I think the pandemic really highlighted that for a lot of folks. People wanting to stay in their homes and communities. So this is really a tool for anti-gentrification. That we're helping people who've been in their neighborhoods for a long time be able to stay there. There's tens of thousands, it can generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in new supplemental income for older adults to help them with their cost, with any of the rising costs and expenses, deferred home maintenance. And I think those are some of the other pieces that we can't even, fully measure. Like each match has this impact on social connection, on housing security, on supplemental income, and building intergenerational connections and more social resiliency in a community that's really valuable.
And Noelle, I don't know if you said this yet, but about the task trading as well. The task trading component of reducing or improving income or rent. So can you just say that? I know we're getting low on time, but.
Yes. So another piece to the program is it's optional for hosts, but about 50% of our hosts decide to formally reduce the rent in exchange for some help around the house. And this is on average $100 to $200 a month, but it can make a really big difference for the hosts and also significantly reduce the rent for the guest population and create really deeply affordable housing units that we're seeing disappear across the country and not be replaced. Talking about $400 a month, $500 a month, including utilities, including internet. I mean, these are hard to produce anywhere else and to build or subsidize at that level for a lot larger expense. So what we've tried to do is keep the cost of running the program as low as possible. We take on all the operational insurance for running the program, hiring the social workers, updating and building all of the software, the whole program operation. So we think it's a pretty good deal to have all of this done, and we try to make it so that it's scalable and that it's working with us to get a program up and running is going to be much cheaper than if you had to create it yourself and handle hiring social workers, finding the insurance policy and covering the insurance, and then all of the other pieces around the background checks and checking references and stuff. So our mission is we're really mission driven, and we really want to see this expand and to see this service and solution, scale and reach as many people and as many communities as possible.
Great, thanks very much.
Any last questions for Noelle as we're topping the hour here? Hearing none, I wanted to really just thank Noelle for her time and effort, not only on today's meeting with us, but I know we are sharing many an email back and forth as well. So thank you, Noelle, for your time here.
Yes, it's my pleasure. Thank you all. And yeah, great questions, and you're doing great work. And I hope that, we'll continue the conversation, and it'll be wonderful to get to work with you in Iowa City and Johnson County.
I have a feeling I'm going to be receiving a few emails after this, some coffee meetings to discuss, which is great.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you, Noelle. And I also wanted to say, with all of our monthly meetings wouldn't be possible without our sponsors. So I do have to put up the slide here to thank our community that not only is joining us today, but financially invests in the coalition for truly finding innovative ways like Nesterly for helping solve the affordable housing crisis that we're seeing here locally. We do have another monthly community meeting coming up at the end of November. We do this the fourth Friday of every month on Zoom. I believe the focus of that will be on manufactured housing, specifically to that water quality testing and water cost burden survey that we're going to be implementing. So mark your calendars, again, fourth Friday of every month on Zoom, and I try to keep it simple. It's the same link. As always, we are a membership-based organization, so feel free to become a member today. If you have questions, concerns about what membership is or how it would affect you and our community, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to discuss with you. And I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate not just Noelle's time, but all of your time and commitment to making housing that is affordable here for all of Johnson County residents.